Welcome to The Explainer. So OpenAI just dropped Sora 2, and with it, some of the most jaw-droppingly realistic AI video we have ever seen. And of course, the internet went completely wild. But today, we're gonna go beyond the hype and really dig into what's happening behind the pixels of those incredible demos.
All right, let's dive right in. And we're kicking things off with a pretty stark warning from OpenAI's own CEO, Sam Altman. He's talking about the worst-case scenario here, a future where we're all just mindlessly scrolling through an endless AI-generated content feed that's perfectly optimized to keep us hooked. The fact that the guy in charge is this worried, well, that's our first big clue that there's a lot more going on here. Okay, first up, let's get beyond those viral videos. Because yeah, the internet was flooded with all this amazing stuff, but the reality of what Sora 2 is and what it isn't is a whole lot more complicated than a few cool clips on your social media feed. You know, the reaction to this has been totally polarized. On one side, people are seeing a total revolution for creative tools, but on the other, people are fearing the birth of a slop feed shoggoth. Basically, this monstrous, chaotic mess of low-quality AI-generated junk. So to get to the bottom of this, we're going to break down the key things you probably missed in all that initial excitement.
Section 2 is all about a dose of reality. Let's start by, reading between the pixels a little bit to get a much clearer picture of what OpenAI actually put out there.
Okay, so here's the first huge detail that I think almost everyone missed. There's not just one Sora 2, there are two. You've got the standard model, the one most of us will get to use, and then there's this experimental, super high-quality Pro version that is apparently crazy expensive to run. So the billion-dollar question is, which model actually made those incredible videos we all saw? And yeah, OpenAI isn't telling us. And that, of course, leads to the next big question: who's actually winning the AI video race here? Is Sora 2 really better than the competition, like Google's Veo 3? Well, it turns out trying to crown a winner is not that simple at all. And this really gets to the heart of the problem. You can't just throw the same prompt at two different models and call it a day. I mean, as you can see, we don't even know which version of Sora we're looking at or what quality settings its competitors are using. But the most important thing is the training data. One model could be an absolute genius at creating anime just because it was fed a ton of it, while another one is amazing at photorealism. So it's not like one is just flat out better than the other. And that brings me to another really interesting point. Even those claims about Sora 2 mastering physics deserve a closer look. Take the basketball player demo. I mean, it looks amazing, don't get me wrong, but the way he kind of bounces off the hoop, it feels less like real-world gravity and more like, the physics engine in a video game. It's a fantastic simulation of reality, but it's not reality, and that's a huge difference. Okay, section 3, the social media gambit, because this is where we pivot from the raw tech to the business strategy. OpenAI didn't just give us a tool, they launched a whole social media app, and the big question is why? Well, the answer really comes down to one word: moat. Think about it. In the space this hot, a cheaper, better competitor could show up tomorrow. So how do you keep people from leaving? You lock them into your ecosystem. If all your friends are on the Sora app and all your amazing video creations are there, it's way harder to just jump ship to another service. It's straight out of the social media playbook 101. So, to fight back against that whole AI slop idea, OpenAI is being super public about its 4-step safety plan. And it's not just about the technical stuff like watermarks or blocking bad content. They're actually trying to shape how we use it, nudging us to be creators, not just passive consumers. And that cameo feature, where you have to verify your own likeness to use it, that is a direct shot at getting ahead of the whole deep fake nightmare. And this is the real centerpiece of their whole pitch. OpenAI has gone on record and promised that if they do regular checks and find that the app isn't actually making a majority of users' lives better, they will either make massive changes or, and this is the wild part, they will shut the entire thing down. I mean, that is a huge promise.
But of course, that brings up a pretty critical question. It's a massive commitment, for sure. But you gotta remember some of the company's past promises, especially around pushing for regulation, haven't exactly played out the way they were first described. So whether this is a promise they'll actually keep, or one that just quietly fades away, we'll have to wait and see. All right, onto our final section, the bigger picture. Because look, Sora 2 is obviously a massive deal, but to really get it, to understand its real significance, we need to zoom out and see where it fits into the whole grand scheme of AI.
That decision to build a social app, it really brings us to this fascinating fork in the road for AI. OpenAI says Sora is a step toward AGI, but you could also look at it as a side quest focused on making entertainment, building digital worlds. And that's in really sharp contrast to companies like Periodic Labs, which you could say are on the main quest, using AI to solve huge problems in the physical world.
Just think about that for a second. Periodic Labs is going in the complete opposite direction of Sora. They're not generating pixels, they want to automate the whole scientific process. We're talking about AI models that predict which experiments to run, humanoid robots that are physically in the lab doing them 24/7, and then another AI that analyzes the results to find the next big breakthrough. It's a pretty powerful reminder that while one part of the AI world is building dreamscapes, another part is trying to rebuild our physical reality.
So at the end of the day, what does this all mean? Well, even with its flaws, even with those video gamey physics, Sora 2 is still a massive leap forward. It's bringing us closer than ever before to passing a kind of visual Turing test, that point where you and I can't reliably tell if a video is real or if it was just made by an AI. You know, you can almost think of AI development as this grand quest to conquer our senses one by one. The written test, yeah, that's pretty much passed. We can't really tell the difference anymore. Sora 2 shows we are getting scary close to the finish line for the visual test. The audio test is probably next. But the final frontier, that's the somatic test, creating artificial worlds that we can't just see and hear, but that we can actually touch and feel. And that leaves us with one last huge idea to chew on. Sora 2 isn't the final product. It's just one more step on a very long path toward a technology that can generate entire worlds from scratch, in real time, that are completely indistinguishable from our own. And when that day comes, what does that even mean for our concept of reality itself? It could change everything.